Okay, hello everyone, this is Pee-wee from Definitive Esports here. I'm going to be doing from Chobo to Gosu episode 2. Yesterday I didn't get to finish all the races and the units and stuff like that, so today I'm going to finish the Zerg, because I didn't do the Zerg at all, and then I'm going to move on to what I call the first thing you want to do when you get Starcraft 2. So, okay, let's jump into Starcraft 2. Change the scenes around. I got some lovely new overlays. So there's that. Okay. There we are. So yeah, there we are. And I defeated. I was playing against the AI just to warm up. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the unit tester. So if you want to play with any units, you go into the unit tester, and there's two player versions and single player versions. Okay, so I'm only going into one by myself because I don't need anyone else, but there are two player ones, and this will actually allow you to use all the units, all the upgrades, etc, etc, and you can just have a lot of fun with the units. This is also something you really want to do if you want to practice your micro. You know, you can get a bunch of Marines against a bunch of Roaches, or a bunch of Stalkers against a bunch of Roaches, or even Marines, and just constantly micro, and this will really improve your mechanics and your unit control. So yeah, yesterday I covered the Terran and the Zerg, so the Terran and the Pros, so today is just the Zerg. Like I showed everyone yesterday, if you press F12 or click on this one up by here, it will bring you into this menu, and this will show you all the units with their counters, with their stats, and then it will also show you all the units and buildings and the tech tree. So here's the Zerg tech tree, and this is going to be a bit more complicated, so if you're just new to the game, this might blow your mind. Don't worry, it'll all make sense long term. So the first building, which is like the command center or the nexus of the Zerg, is called the hatchery. Once you build the hatchery, you're entitled to the spawning pool and the evolution chamber. And the evolution chamber's upgrades and detection. The spawning pool allows you to build Zerglings, which are the first units of the Zerg army. Then you can, once you get the spawning pool, you can build a Roach Warren, a Baneling nest, and a Spine Crawler. Spine Crawler is static defense, like cannons, etc, etc. And then you can upgrade your hatchery, which is the main building, into a lair, and this is Tech 2, so this will allow you to get the better units. So once you get lair, you have your infestation pit, the Hydralisk den, the spire, and the Nida network. You have to have an infestation pit to tech up the lair to the hive. Like I said, this is going to blow your mind at first, but don't worry, I'll show you everything later. So once you get the hive, then you're entitled to the Tech 3 units of the Zerg, which is Ultralisk Cavern and the Great Spire. And those are all the tech. So let's go into it. So here is the hatch, and I will morph it into a lair so you can see what I mean. Obviously it takes like a minute to morph, but you can't, well actually it takes about 100 seconds, but because it's the unit tester, it does it immediately. So there's that. This is the spawn pool, and this will allow you to build Zerglings. Yay! Which are these little things down here. Now, Zerglings are the fastest unit in the game, with upgrades and stuff, so you can get something called Metabolic Boost, which gives them speed increase, and that gives them a hell of a speed increase. They're so much faster. And when they're on this stuff that you can see here, this is called Creep, and this is only for the Zergs, and this gives them movement speed, and you also have to build buildings on this. You can't build them outside. So that is the Zerglings. Next is the Banelings, which comes from this building by here. And like I was saying before, the Zergs are very evolutionary dependent, so if we select the Zerglings by here, we can actually build them into Banelings. And oops, that was a bit silly. Right, so okay, here's some more. So we can build them into Banelings, which is Z. I accidentally built them and then I exploded them. So here's a Baneling, and these are pretty much suicidal units, which are really fun. So you can do whatever you want with these. You can blow them on stuff, and I'll show you what I mean. So here's some Zerglings. As you see. So, yep, that's Banelings. Next are the Roaches, which are a lower tech unit as well. These come from the standard hatchery, so you don't have to get the lair for the Roaches. The Roaches will be these ones by here. If you're wondering, every single unit of the Zerg army will come from the hatcheries or the lair or the hive, whatever the main building is developed into. They all come from these. This gives them very interesting mechanics, like it allows them to remax immediately or ridiculously fast, because you can't really see it, but there's these things called lava right here, and this is where the units come from. So if I select them one, I can build, see, there's a roach. And then the lava come from these buildings, and you can increase lava production on the building as well. So these are the Roaches. These are very cheap units, very, very cheap units, but they have a lot of armor, so they're very bulky. They're pretty much meat shields for the Zerg army. They can be massed ridiculously fast, and they can do a lot of time in attacks with a mass roach all in. Okay, so that is Roaches. Next is, I'll go for Hydras, right? So the Hydras come from this one by here, the Hydralisks. Well, this allows you to build the Hydralisks. The Hydralisks come from here. The Hydras do need the lair tech, so you do have to upgrade your hatchery. So let's go in and build some Hydras. These are Hydras. Hydras are a lot of fun. They're pretty powerful. They're very, very, very slow. So you don't see a lot of people use them, because if a unit's very slow, it's easy to take advantage of it. But they do a lot of damage. You can upgrade their speed, their range, sorry, from 5 to 6. So they hit that a little bit further. But they're not really the unit of choice for a Zerg. They're very good against anti-air. Other than that, they're not the unit of choice. Next is the Spire. This is your air units for the Zerg, right? And this will allow you to build all the air units. So we have, one is the Ultralisk, which I showed you briefly yesterday. And next is the Corruptor, which I briefly showed you yesterday. These are the two standard air units. And Ultralisks can attack air and ground. They're very fast, and they do splash damage. And the splash damage is very hard to work out. It's standard by 9 damage, so if it attacks this, it's doing 9 damage. But they have splash. You can't really see it, but if it attacks this, they'll be like glade. They're called glade worms. They splash off this and they'll hit the other buildings. The first hit will do 3 damage, the second one does 2, the next one does 1. So they're very potent units, the mutas, and that's why they're especially good at taking out mineral lines, because the splash just annihilates all the harvesters. So that is your mutas. Next is the Corruptor. This is an air-to-air fighting unit only, which means it can't attack ground units. It doesn't really have much of a purpose unless it's unless it's being built specifically to counter something. And what you can actually do with these, if I upgrade the lair here to a hive, so this is Tech 3 now, this allows you to build that, and you can actually turn the Spire, which is the air units, into a Greater Spire. So that comes up, and what happens is, with the Corruptor, just like the Zerglings and the Banelings, the Corruptor evolves into a Broodlord, which is another air unit. This is an air-to-ground fighting unit, so it cannot attack other air units. So obviously, if there's an air fight, they're going to get destroyed. So you have to protect these, and normally you get your Corruptors to protect them. The intriguing thing about the Broodlord, though, is how it attacks. If you can see these little things just chilling behind it, these are called Broodlings, and these are like its little babies, and it actually like hurls them at its enemy. So actually, let's keep the Hydra here. So use the Brood. If I attack this, you'll see these, boom, and then you can control these individually. And it's a slow, grinding, methodical attack, this is, because these are unlimited. The Broodlings are unlimited, so if you have a lot of Broodlords, they can do a lot of damage. They can force units back, like units can't come and like So now we have like 10 Broodlords by here and an army by here who want to kill the Broodlords. The Broodlings block them from getting closer, which is a very good thing to have. Okay, I don't want that to die. Okay, next is the Infestation Pit, which is this one by here. And this comes from Hive. Sorry, this comes from Lair, not the Hive, which is the tier 3. So if I go into this and build some Infestors. Infestors are your spellcasters.
Research complete.
So just like the Ghosts or the High Templars or the Protoss, they throw casts, as you can see by the mana. So the first one is called an Infested Tern, which takes 25 energy. There is a maximum of 200, so this is what an Infested Tern looks like. It chucks out an egg, and then it's pretty much a marine that's on the Zerg side. So they're very slow, but they do a lot of damage. And obviously they're free units, essentially, because they're only energy. So if you kill units with energy, that's really, really good. Okay. So the next one is something called a Fungal Growth. Now this is an actual spell. What will happen is, see now, there's a bunch of units running around. Let's build some Zerglings. Can I? Actually, I can't fungal my own Zerglings, can I? Right, so here's some Zerglings. You know, they're just running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I want to kill them with the Infestor. Right? You do something called a Fungal Growth, which... Oh. I'll go off you. And you. Right. You fungal them. And what happens is it pretty much freezes them on the spot and does X amount of damage. The damage dealt varies per unit. Like an armored unit takes 40 damage, a non-armored unit takes 30. And then the last one is pretty much mind control. It's called Neural Parasite. This is a channeled upgrade, and I'll show you what that means. I'll go for an Ultra. Ultra's a big. It shoots out like a long pipe, and that pipe or tube has to connect to the unit. So, it's in range. Oh, I didn't know I could tug that. Okay, let's just try it with a Roach then. So, I'm going to take over the Roach. The Roach is mine. So I can control the Roach, attack, and then obviously if it goes out of range, it loses it. So, let's try again. Yeah, there are. I know I have control, so it's going to attack. There is a countdown on this. It's 15 seconds, and there are some other mechanics that you need to know. See now I had a big army back here, and I just Neural Parasite one of these units. Even though it's under my control and I can tell it what to do, the enemy units will not target fire it, because it's one of their own as they see it. So that's why you see some people take siege tanks, and then the siege tanks don't get shelled by the other siege tanks on the enemy's force. It's because they count them as their own units. Right. And then the last one is the Ultralisk. Yeah, the Ultralisk, which is this big boy here. This is tier 3, this is a ground-to-ground unit. Like the Zealot and the Zergling, it's a melee unit, which means it has to be in proximity, or it pretty much has to be touching the unit it wants to attack. So, it also has splash. Anything in that area will take damage. And this is another building. This is not a unit producing structure. This is a mechanic to allow you to reinforce your army much quicker. And what happens is you can put your units in it, and it creates this little thing. It's called Nida Swim. And if I put that by there, this explodes over the ground by here, and then it's like an infinite. So it's pretty much like a tunnel system for immediate transport. So you can reinforce very quickly with this, because everything goes into that, and then it comes out here. You know, you can put these in your enemy bases and at your other bases to reinforce quicker. Stuff like that. It's really cool. Alright, so that is the end of the Zerg tutorial, and it actually went a lot quicker than expected, so that's very good. Okay, let's leave this. Next, what we're going to do is, it's pretty much, this is the segment I call the first thing you want to do when you get Starcraft 2. And, you know, hopefully you will watch these videos, you know the units, etc, etc. And now we have to put them into using them pretty much. So I will get this.